Thank you, First Vice President Williams. Thank you to everyone for taking the time to come out and share with us in this reception. We hope that you all are enjoying yourselves, enjoying each other, enjoying the food. We had a very good session today. Would you agree? And we left there discussing some very important and critical issues that we have to make sure that between now and next year, the CBC, that we do something in between. We do something in between to affect change. And so that's our responsibility, that's our job, that's our charge, and we need your support. We need you all to keep doing what you're doing as realtors, which is stay active and engaged on the local, state level in the cities where you reside. And we'll keep doing the work of help affecting change and getting to the goal that we're all trying to achieve, which is to elevate the rate of homeownership in this country, which is so important. I don't have any other further remarks. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be spending my 53rd birthday with the realtors. I don't really mean that. I would rather be at home celebrating with my little kids. They kept asking me, Daddy, what type of meeting you go to? Why you? Anyway, they don't quite understand. But I told them, I said, this is something I couldn't get out of. And as birthdays come around, I said that, wow, I may be here next year on a Friday celebrating my birthday. So Mike, I have to bring the kids. So that's something I'm going to have to do. But again, this is a pleasure, and it's a great privilege to serve as your president. And I'm so thankful, and I hope you continue to enjoy this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, is our chairman of the board in the room, Bob Hughes? I thought I saw him walk in. Okay, while he's grabbing him, I just want to thank, I don't think she's here though, Joanne Gaskin. She's the Senior Director of Scores and Analysis at FICO. And if she's not in the room, we want to thank her for her great presentation this morning during our Brain Trust. So, and also for Fred Underwood, he's the Director of Diversity and Community Outreach Program for NAREB. So those were our two sponsors for the NAREB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers. So at this point, my name is Lydia Pope. I am the second vice president of NAREB, and I would like to introduce to you our chairman of the board, Bob Hughes.
Good evening. I want to welcome you all and thank you all for showing up for our reception. I hope you enjoyed our presentation. I want to thank all the panelists for some great information. I mean, it was mind-changing information. I was called up here to introduce Congressman Emanuel Cleaver from Kansas City. Emanuel Cleaver gave us a presentation at our national convention, and he had people standing, well, I should say the Reverend Emanuel Cleaver, so that should give you some idea of why he had people standing up in the aisle in his speech. So we wanted to recognize him this evening for doing such a great job of presenting himself to us with some valuable words. But he's gone. He was here, and hopefully you all had a chance to say hello to him, but this is his conference along with the other members. So they've got all kinds of events. I just happened to see him in the hallway this afternoon and said, you know, we're recognizing you. And his wife said, do I have that on his schedule? So he did show up. I'm just sorry that we didn't get this started in time to recognize him. So, but anyway, give him a hand for coming to us, and thank you so much for what you've done for us, Lydia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is Fred here? Fred is not here.
And Mr. Chairman, on behalf of our congressman, can you come up? We would like to present an award on his behalf, and I want to make sure that you representing his area, that this is given to you. And this award says, an appreciation presented to Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II, the U.S. House of Representatives, 5th Congressional District, Missouri, in recognition of your support of NAREB at the 47th CBCF ALC, Washington, D.C., September 2017, Jeffrey Hicks, President. So even though he's not here, let's give him a round of applause for the work that he's done in the community and definitely in your area. So thank you.
I'll make sure he gets that.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'd like to bring up our executive director so that he can introduce a special guest, it says here, Mr. Antoine Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me say good evening. Good evening. Give me 1 second here. It's with great privilege and honor that I introduce this young man I've known on and off for probably about 10 years now. His name is Kevin Hicks. He's a partner with Blackman and Associates, but he's not just a partner. He is a leading figure. If you Google his name, you'll see articles on him in Forbes magazine, Black Enterprise, Ebony, Inc. magazine. And how I met Kevin was when I was in the state Senate. He used to come up all the time for a similar event at the state level. And he was always talking about helping African Americans in real estate, particularly on franchises. And he's very successful. He owns 2 Marriotts. He owns a number of franchises all up and down the eastern seaboard. But one of the things I like about Kevin, he knows how to partner with people. He knows to talk the real estate, the finance, the government language from the state to the federal level. And we need that as we talk about building black wealth, not only through home ownership, but through real estate development. He's owned everything from Popeye's Chicken to helping people with Papa John's, to the UPS store, to Burger Kings and IHOPs. He's helped hundreds of black people become millionaires through starting franchises. So as we talk about real estate development, Kevin just wanted to come by and talk about wealth. He's been wearing me out about the whole issue of wealth and life insurance and financing. And so he said he called me on the phone about a month ago, and he said, you know what? NAREB's on the right track. He said, they got to know, they got to keep fighting. You know, they got to keep fighting, doing what they're doing. And he goes to conferences and gets asked to speak all. He said, they ain't got to pay me. I just want to spread the message to you all. So when y'all go in those rooms, he said, I'll even write it up for you. I'll tell y'all what to say. Where President Hicks was talking about somebody that could do some writing, Kevin even said, I will write the speech for you to give to them. And I'll help you put the plan for free. I just want y'all to be successful. And so without further ado, he is very accomplished. Let me just read some of his other quick things. He has 15 years. He's been a leading advocate for minority franchises. He has worked with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, U.S. Small Business Administration. He's a great friend of Congressman Meeks. He actually used to sponsor a minority franchise development conference for 3 years. And without further ado, let's just bring together Kevin. He's going to come give us some brief remarks and get us all motivated and enlighten us. Kevin Hicks. And for all of those, he's got a couple buildings in Atlanta too, right?
We're trying. It's always interesting when you have friends who have alcoholic problems, because it's always easy to get that person to introduce you and kind of expand the legend. First, let me thank you for having me come and share some remarks with you. I want to congratulate you on what I already know is your current success and what I believe will be your future success. As I told people at the National Association of Financial Advisors, there was a particular company, New York Life, that had a $50 billion challenge where they tried to get $50 billion in life insurance so they can create wealth in the African-American community. And their goal was to do it in 5 years, and they did it in 4. So what I'm suggesting to you is your challenge is you want to do $2 million in 5, I expect you all to do it in 3. Because you all have the talent, you have the tools, and you have the resources, and more importantly, you have the marketplace. Because if we look at the home ownership for us at 42% and being a 50-year low, there's 2 ways to look at that. The first way is a young man went to Africa, sold shoes for me. And the gentleman came back and said, well, Mr. Hicks, there's no opportunities. They don't wear shoes. Another young man went to Africa, and he came back and, Mr. Hicks, can I stay? Can I stay? He said, why? He said, it's great opportunity. They don't wear shoes. So the reality is you have to look at the 42% as an opportunity because you have a larger natural marketplace than your white counterparts. So the reality is this number is not real. I expect you all to do it in 3. And anything that I and the organizations that I'm part of, because I'm part of a coalition called Closing the Racial Wealth Divide, look it up. You'll see articles. You'll see data. You'll even see strategies to help you do what you do in terms of policy. We call this the legislative weekend, and I need you all to understand that the wealth divide was created by public policy. I'm an advocate for black business ownership. I'm an advocate for personal finance habits and investing. We need to do all that. That will not close the divide. What will close the divide is public policy. Because when the Social Security Act was created in '65, there was a rider that said 70% of the people could not be part. That was us, domestic workers and agrarian workers. When the Federal Housing Authority was created, okay, and they had the push with the National Housing Act to guarantee loans and increase home ownership, there was redlining. And redlining wasn't ended through public policy in the Civil Rights Act of 1968. That's public policy, okay? So we can't speak about getting more homes and not talking about partnering with the people at this conference. I like to dance. The congressman will tell you I like to shake a tail feather. I like to eat some beef on occasion. But we have an opportunity to talk to them about legislative change. The Community Reinvestment Act in 1988, that was public policy that forced them, as you know, to lend money in the communities where they were taking deposits. That was public policy. So the reality is if they knew that public policy was the thing that was going to keep us from creating wealth, and we weren't able to get really enforcement acts until 1988 to support and make redlining illegal, then the reality is public policy is also a solution. So what am I going to do when I talk about the National Association of Real Estate Brokers? Well, the first thing, we're going to redefine what you are. And the way we're going to redefine it is, if we said that the 4 tools for economic empowerment are home ownership, investing, personal finance, and business ownership, what undergirds all of that is home ownership. We always talk about it as a foundational principle. Well, if it's a foundational principle and you're not real estate agents, if it's a foundational principle, then you're not real estate brokers. What you are in closing this gap are wealth warriors. That is what you are. Because the reality is I can't get my clients to get loans if they don't own real estate to undergird as collateral for an SBA loan. The other reality is you're 5 times as likely to 10 times as likely to not get released when you go get locked up correctly or incorrectly if you don't have real estate to post a bond. When the credit freeze happened, there were people who could not go back to school because they did not have property when they weren't pushing student loans. So what you're doing is you're not just creating wealth, you're transforming lives. So the reality is you have to be considered something more than just real estate brokers and real estate agents. You're wealth warriors. I would suggest these few items before I leave that I believe will close the wealth gap. If you position what you do as vital to the economic lifeblood of our communities, we'll be able to save those communities. And expand your definition of real estate. As Antoine suggested to you, I've been fortunate enough to own hotels, I've owned strip centers, I've owned commercial properties. That's real estate as well. We have an opportunity in some of these communities to buy strip centers, own those centers through an SBA program called the 504 loan, where the real estate itself is the actual collateral, and put 10% down. Into that loan, we can build 3, 4 businesses, franchise businesses, and rent the other 4 out. That's real estate as well. And you don't have to be a real estate owner to do that. We're expanding the definition. Hotels are nothing but a real estate-based asset. And you don't manage the hotels. My hotel is managed by Marriott. They're in the hotel management business. You're in the real estate business, and you wait for a check. That, too, is real estate. So when we collectively get people to do investment properties, let's consider these investments as well. The last thing I would say, if you take some of the things that I shared with you, that real estate is an important cog to business ownership, college, job creation, and you position that with the people that you're selling to. And if you look at some of the tax incentives that we have to get Congress to redirect, where instead of getting wealthy people to buy bigger houses and take bigger loans, they create policies to help working class people to get loans and have tax benefits, you will be successful. Because fundamentally, we're people who came through slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and we survived. So there's no longer a question for the people who they had no plan for. We weren't supposed to be here. We are the children of those people who were not supposed to be here, who would not die. So it's no longer a question of, is it going to be in us? The question is, what kind of us is it going to be? And if it's in the hands of people like you, I'm confident we'll be successful.
Let's give our hands one more time for Kevin Hicks. Somebody in here want to be the next millionaire, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more award to give out to a friend of NAREB, and we're very proud to call him our friend. If I'm looking around the room here, is Mr. Fred Underwood here? Did Fred leave? He's still our friend. He is still our friend. Is he? Are they going to get him? In the meantime, I want to recognize all the officers that are here. I appreciate you. Let me see. I see a few regional vice presidents out there. I see a few local boards. Here's Fred. Let me get my local board presidents to wave their hand and stand up if I can. All my regional vice presidents wave their hand and stand up. I appreciate you guys. There you go, my soldiers. Fred, on behalf of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, we appreciate your friendship and would like to present you with this token of our appreciation.
Thank you so
All
very
right?
much.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to congratulate each of you who took time out of your lives to come to Washington to advocate not only for yourselves and your profession, but for the people that you serve back home, the people you work with, the communities you live in. Our country needs every person to be engaged in advocating for home ownership, for equality and private property rights, and for the communities that we all live in and we work in. And without us and you and everyone back home and all the people that aren't here today that we have influence being able to come together around these issues, we're not going to progress. We have to organize and we have to work together. So on behalf of the National Association of Realtors, thank you very much for including me, and I look forward to seeing you from year to year as we move this agenda forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, we want to thank them for their contribution and their partnership with our organization. I think we'll have some brief remarks. Blackman and Associates. Okay, that's the name. Okay. Now, we have an award presentation. I'm not sure if our Congressman Meeks is here. Okay, he hasn't showed up yet. Okay, at this time, we have a special presentation. I am honored to bring forward our Chief of Staff from NAREB, Lawrence Batiste. And if you all can just welcome him to the podium, we just got a really quick presentation before we conclude. And then followed by that will be our closing remarks from our Executive Director. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I'd like to have our President step up here. Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like for you all to join with me as we wish our President a happy birthday. And let's sing happy birthday to him. And start off by saying, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you. All right, my brother.
That means a lot. That really does, and I appreciate and I love everybody, and thank you so much.
Okay. And you got the cake over there. So you
Oh, we got the cake too?
Yeah, I got a
All
cake
right.
for you.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's put our hands together one more time for President Hicks. He's here on his birthday, away from his family. Just before I wrap up, I want to first thank our entire board of directors. There are a lot of members. All the members of the board raised their hand, of the board of directors for NAREB. Let's put our hands together for them for coming out and being here as well. Also, all of the volunteers, and I must thank the staff as well. Did Joanne come in from FICO? I want to also thank all the staff and the volunteers who helped pull this together. We had people passing out flyers, stuffing envelopes, doing a lot of good things. Let's put our hands together for the staff and consultants and volunteers that make this possible. We also want to thank the sponsors for today. And to do that, I'd like to just take one brief second and bring over C. Renee Wilson to acknowledge the sponsors. We always share. We do this Batman, Batwoman thing.
Thank you. The two sponsors for this evening, you just heard from one, Mr. Fred Underwood with the National Association of Realtors, and the other sponsor was Ms. Joanne Gaston, who was with us this morning, and she's with FICA. So for the support to both of those people, thank you very much for supporting us for this event.
Yes. Also, what I'd like to do before we wrap up is I'd like to bring up our three leaders who sacrificed so much from their families and businesses. They have to run for election every year that they hold the position. Our three national vice presidents. The first one is from a state that's near to us as well. He comes from New Jersey. In upstate New York, we call it Jersey. And Donnell Williams, first vice president, owner of the largest black independent real estate company. And we just wanted to come up so you could acknowledge. They saw you, but they didn't, know you were vice president. Second vice president from the city of Cleveland, Ohio. She has been working very hard. Also, real estate developer, contractor, consultant, property manager, and a housing counseling agency as well, Lydia Pope. Did I get it right? Did I miss anything? Past Women's Council president. Next, this young lady, I don't know how she does it. She works really hard as well. Her city had over 4 feet of water in many neighborhoods, and she was helping folks even when her house was almost about to be under siege as well. She is a real estate broker, real estate developer, and she is also the president of the Texas State Association for NAREB, and president of the Black Chamber in Houston. Let's bring up to the podium as well Courtney Johnson Rose, who's married to an alpha man, a new one at that. Ladies and gentlemen, our three vice presidents, they do so much and we appreciate them. You all don't know, but we meet every Monday as a leadership team at 9:30 a.m. And we do it painstakingly to make sure we get a lot of things done. So on behalf of the rest of the leadership team, we thank you for your sacrifice and your commitment. And have a good evening. Thanks for coming. God bless you. And keep on fighting.